What is something that is highly likely to happen in the next 5 years that everyone is completely ignoring? Multi-region crop failure. And drought accelerating faster than people's ability to find water, leading to entire city collapse. Plus water now being used, so people can make the dumbest AI searches imaginable. I agree. Most people notice food prices going up, but not many are thinking about what happens if several major crop regions have bad seasons at the same time. That kind of problem would hit a lot harder than people expect. The complete collapse of internet trust due to advanced AI voice and video cloning. In less than 5 years, your parents or grandparents will get a call with your exact voice asking for emergency money, and it will be nearly impossible for them to tell it's a scam. My sibling and I had a discussion about this with our parents, and we settled on a family password for if this kind of situation ever arises. It's not tied to any of our personal information, but is instead a nonsensical phrase, something that an AI or scammer would never come up with on their own. This, back to the OLWW2 challenges responses. The rapid spread of enclaves for the extremely wealthy that behave more and more like independent countries. Guy I knew used to be head of security for a gated millionaire community. You've absolutely heard of a few people who live there. I did some work in there a few times across the years, and it's just disgustingly rich. And it's like another town entirely, just in the center of mine. Own ambulance, own armed security. They don't even have normal cops in there most of the time. I was talking to him once when he'd been drinking, which was often, and he said, "These people think they're safe. They have no idea. Someone comes crashing through that front gate. Me and my guys are going out the back. I refuse to die for these assholes, and my entire crew feels the same." The guys were security guards, mostly guys in their 20s. You'd figure they'd want to hire ex-military or something, but I guess that'd be too expensive. Really, what they care about is being able to boss around the local equivalent of cops. They forget the important function that the police serve for them, making sure nobody drags them from their beds in the middle of the night, which these guys will absolutely not do. This makes me happy, since I see that scenario playing out in a lot of bunkers if the time comes. Or, if not that scenario, well, Mr. Moneybags, here we are, in the bunker. Here's your bags, here's my gun. Now get into the storage room under the kitchen, so you'll be rested for first shift tomorrow. Anatole will be taking the first week off. You can leave your wife. Sorry, that was ambiguous. You will leave your wife. Fraud at unprecedented scale and severity in the UK. With the Online Safety Act, social media ban for teens, etc., it's only a matter of time for an age verification service to leak mountains of passports, driving licenses, etc. I work in security, and that's the way I look at this now. Businesses should not be allowed to harvest PPI as a mandatory step to make their app work, so you can actually use a product service you bought. The ERA of, "Oh, we'll protect the information we promise," should be over. In almost every case, they do not need this information. They just want to suck it all up to resell or impose draconian legislation like this. Completely agree with this. Big corps do not need most of the information they demand, and they sell it on to others. Personal data is huge business, and companies make a fucking fortune from it. Same as services that let you log in via your email. Google basically lets them scrape all the info in your email account, where they get info about what you buy, etc., so that they can use it for targeted advertising and whatever else they sell it for. Same with some apps. WTF does it need access to my photos and contacts for? I'm curious what FB did with all the facial scans it took from users to access their accounts that they had mysteriously been locked out of, but still refused them access when a facial scan was provided. Why can't you get in touch with FB to ask them to delete your info facial scan? Privacy is one of the only things we have left. Protect yours at all costs. An increase in multi-generational housing. The job market is bleak, rent increases are rampant, and there is a lack of affordable housing inventory. People are looking for solutions. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of having a parent move into my basement or spare bedroom than finding a tiny home community or some nonsense. The other driver will be the boomers aging out of the workforce. Most will be unable to afford to live at skilled nursing facilities. Costs are already insane, and the government passed cuts to Medicaid as part of the OBBBA that adversely affect these facilities. Yep, doing social work, and the amount of boomers who can't afford to survive due to medical costs, along with rent and only having their Social Security checks as income, is just wild. The crazy thing there is ample fresh water to more than fulfill humanity's needs. We just suck at distribution and logistics. I was read about how Las Vegas has one of the most advanced and resilient water infrastructures on the planet, which is insane considering it's literally in the middle of a desert. Las Vegas needs to have advanced and resilient water infrastructures due to limitations on how much they can draw from the Colorado River. Damn near every gallon of water used in the city is treated and then recycled. Coral bleaching. If the El Niño is as bad as models are projecting, corals reefs in the Pacific, as far out as 10 degrees latitude from the equator, will all be dead by end of next year. That will mean the end of reef fishing in those areas. Edit. A bit more of the human consequences. The people that live in those areas almost entirely rely on reef fishing for food. There isn't any arable soil of consequence, not anywhere near to sustain the amount of people. These nations are also among the poorest on Earth and will be facing a move or die scenario. At a bare minimum, 300,000 people will be impacted. Second edit. The next energy trough over from coral reefs are algae plains. So this will entail a massive biodiversity drop-off. To exacerbate the rising water issues for some of these locales, the coral acts as a breakwater and is better at it than algae plains. I'm not naturally pessimistic. I am hopeful the data coming out about potential ways to address the coral will be fruitful, but the sheer amounts of energy involved to shift out of a coral reef to an algae plain just make me skeptical of any fixes that could stop it or revert them. These troughs are self-correcting in a way. Ticks and diseases. Driven by milder winters, disease-carrying ticks are marching north into Canada at an alarming rate of 35 to 55 kilometers per year, turning suburban backyards and school fields into high-risk zones. In Canada alone, reported Lyme disease cases skyrocketed from under 150 in 2000 to over 7,000 recently. Because early testing is notoriously unreliable and the general public still views this as a deep woods problem, we are completely unprepared for the sheer volume of infections that are heading our way over the next few years. What makes this truly urgent is that it is no longer just about Lyme disease. Ticks are rapidly evolving into multi-pathogen vectors, spreading lesser-known but severe conditions like anaplasmosis, the brain-attacking Powassan virus, and alpha-gal syndrome, a tick-induced allergy that can permanently banish red meat and dairy from your diet. The good news is that the next 5 years will likely bring next-generation diagnostics and highly anticipated human Lyme vaccines, currently in advanced clinical trials. However, until those tools hit the market, this quiet epidemic is expanding faster than public awareness, and ignoring it is a recipe for a major public health crisis. Thanks for watching, and write in the comments what you think will happen in the next 5 years. Like and subscribe. Bye.